Oh, when you press the video button, it gets even darker in here. Why? I just wanted to find a place with... Wait, let me just... That's better, sort of. Just want you guys to be able to see my face properly. Okay, that will do. So, welcome to the first video in my series, Hannah is a K-pop fan. It was the summer of 2017, and I kept seeing K-pop stuff everywhere, sometime in August. And I just saw K-pop everywhere. It was all over Twitter, it was all over Tumblr, and I was getting really fed up of not knowing what was going on. So I remember looking some stuff up and, finding a few groups like, BTS, of course, and, a few others like EXO, stuff like that. So I decided I'd listen to a few songs. EXO, I did like a couple of their songs, but at the time they didn't really stick with me. And, at first BTS as well didn't stick to me right away. Ironically though, even after I decided I wasn't going to put any songs on my phone, I still put Jump On by BTS. For some reason, that's the song by BTS that stuck with me. I don't know why. I think it's because J-Hope's part in that song is amazing. Absolutely phenomenal. So catchy. Also, Tae as well had a really good part in Jump, so for some reason that was like super catchy. So even though I just had decided I wasn't gonna stand BTS yet, and that I just couldn't get into them, I had to keep that song on my phone. I don't know why. But I did have some EXO songs on my phone for a while. I had Lotto on there for like a really long time, and Wolf, I think, I had on for a really long time. But summer, late August, I decided to give it a try again. So I did, and I listened to Dope. Like, I watched the music video and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm a fan now. I watched Dope, and I was like, well, see, this is really good. I don't know what I was missing before when I watched it, because, all of a sudden, they always say that BTS will come to you when you need them, and clearly I didn't need them before, because when I watched it a second time, I was like, this is really good. What was I thinking, like, months ago? So I tried Dope, and, like, Jin became my bias, like, immediately. I was like, Jin is, like, the best, because that doctor outfit and the smile he gave, like, I just fell in love instantly. And Jungkook in the police uniform, and so he became my bias wrecker. But that didn't last for very long, because as I kept watching videos like Blood, Sweat, and Tears and stuff like that, I discovered that Tae is probably the love of my life. Besides Kenny. Kenny is my, actual love of my life, but Tae is also the love of my life. So, yeah, he went right up the rankings, but Jungkook still stayed as my bias wrecker for a really long time, until about, sometime in 2018. And Suga just jumped his way up there into my, right up my list. He went right up my list, and then that's how I found out that Suga is my bias wrecker. And then, I tried to keep it strict after that. I tried to, like, but as everybody knows who's been a fan of BTS for a very long time, keeping a constant bias list, keeping everything the same is really difficult. I get bias wrecked by all of them quite often. But eventually I decided that I needed to just have two bias wreckers, because I couldn't pick between Yoongi and J-Hope. Like, I could not pick, because Yoongi and Hobi are, like, both so amazing, and I love all of their rap parts, and it just was really hard to pick which one was actually my bias wrecker. So I was like, well, they're just both gonna be my bias wrecker. So that's me. My bias is Tae, and my bias wrecker are Yoongi and Hobi. And I've been a fan about just before DNA was released, because I think DNA was in September. Like, early September. I think it was early September. But yeah, so imagine my surprise, as by that time, it only took like a week or so for me to become a Tae bias person. But about, like, a few weeks later, DNA came out, and Tae had that, like, fluffy hair, and that was just too much for my brain to, like, comprehend. Like, it was my first comeback. DNA was my first comeback, and it was a lot. It was a lot. I I went through a really hard time. I have a piece of paper here that I can look off so that I don't get off topic because I have a lot that I want to talk about and I don't want to make the video too long. So I just want to take a second and talk about all of the members because even though I have a bias and bias wrecker, I want to give attention to all of the members. So Tae, the reason he's my bias, I mean, his personality, early on he was very fun-loving and excitable and stuff like that. But, as he got older and, like, with the death of his grandmother and stuff like that, he really mellowed out a lot. And I know sometimes when I think of him, he doesn't strike me as mysterious, even though I know a lot of people view Tae as mysterious. He strikes me as someone who just thinks very deeply. He has a lot of thoughts, and, he has a very good poker face, and duality wise, he's really good at going from like his boxy smile to like just completely straight faced, which I find really alarming. Sometimes he'll have a completely straight face and then just burst out laughing. He's too good at duality, and his facial expressions when he's on stage are just unreal. And all armies know he just doesn't know how to keep his tongue inside of his mouth, ever. So he causes me a lot of pain. As for Yoongi, any fan who first joins ARMY, their first thought is how, like, savage Yoongi is and, like, stuff like that, but the more you watch, you realize he's just as chaotic and silly as the rest of the members, and I feel like that's very important. He's very serious and very focused on his music, and that's, like, really good, but he is also very silly and goofy, and I really love it when he's MC during Run BTS because I think he does it really well. So I'm fond of him. Like, I just think he's cute. Like, he's really amazing, and like, obviously August D #2 has come out and he was absolutely savage and amazing, and there was a lot of vocals, which I was surprised about, but also not surprised about because he has been doing that more lately. But it was really funny after that. He went live and he was painting and he was just Yoongi, not August D. And it's just funny. The duality there as well is just off the charts. As for J-Hope, I don't know. I need a piece of hope in my life. So for me, J-Hope he's so relieving, and like, he's such a presence, that I enjoy. He's very there, and he's just always there, being himself, being cheerful and kind, and, but even when he's, being strict dance teacher Hobie, he's still really inspiring and amazing. I'm really impressed by his dancing. His dancing is absolutely insane. Right when I think that, like maybe Jungkook or maybe Jimin are starting to kind of get on his level, he does something that I've never seen anybody do before, and I'm just blown out of the park. He is absolutely fantastic. Ego was a bop. Me and my mother, who I got into BTS, have been like, we listen to that song like on a daily basis. Ego was such a bop. It was just amazing, so good. Jimin to me is the member with the personality that's the hardest to pinpoint because he's one of the kindest members in the group. He's like the first person to comfort you when you're upset. He's also the first person to point out when you do something silly. Like, he's the first person to be like, LMAO, like, why did you say that? That's so silly. Like, he's the first person to do that. He has very Slytherin vibes, which every ARMY knows, but like, I think about it a lot. He has a personality that's really hard to pinpoint. When he's being quiet and just staring at the camera, I can't even imagine what's going through his head. There's nothing. I can't picture it at all. So that's why I think that he's the most mysterious member of the group. He's the hardest that I have to pinpoint because he has so many different facets to his personality. It's very interesting. His dancing is one of the most fascinating to me because contemporary dance is the type of dance style I like to watch the most. So I find that his dancing is absolutely gorgeous. BTS in general makes me want to learn how to dance, which I might do. But, just as a hobby. But I really like contemporary dance, so it's always very, very pleasing to watch Jimin dance. He's just absolutely ethereal, absolutely gorgeous. The outfits he wears when he's doing contemporary dancing are super pretty. He's got a lot of androgynous features. Like, he doesn't look like a girl, but he has a lot of, like, he has a look that makes him kind of look in between, like not overly feminine and not overly masculine. He's kind of in the middle. So it's really nice to see. But at the same time, if he were to take his shirt off, the muscles are like very prominent. And so I like that he's full of contradictions, a lot of good stuff. And the first time I ever heard his high notes, like in Hold Me Tight and some of the other songs, I heard a vocal coach say once that it's because he sings mostly in head voice, which is really, really rare. But I am absolutely blown away by how high his voice can go, and that's not the norm for males. It's not always falsetto either, it's just his voice, which is absolutely amazing, and it just shows how talented he is vocally. Sure, he's not one of the most stable singers when he's dancing and singing at the same time, but he makes up for it in like every other way. He's absolutely amazing. He has an amazing personality. His dancing is amazing. I'm an OT7 stan, okay? I love all of the members, even though I have a bias and bias records. Like, I love BTS. Jin is the number one mood maker for me. He is so funny. His dad jokes are hilarious. He has so many iconic lines, like when he said that he was going to drink alcohol to soothe his throat when he did that Be Live with Jimin. Those are iconic lines. I absolutely love him. He says some of the funniest stuff. He's also said some of the most meaningful stuff as well, so I really appreciate how he can be silly, but he's also, the oldest member, and he really does take care of the younger ones in his own way, like, cooking for them and stuff like that. I think I would kill to have a meal cooked by Jin. I bet it tastes really good. Everybody's always talking about, all the BTS members are always talking about how good his cooking is, and it would be great. I want him to, be, the head chef at a restaurant. I know technically him and his brother did open some restaurants, but I mean, a restaurant where, he's the chef doing the cooking. I would want to eat at that restaurant just so I could taste his cooking. That would be amazing. As for his vocals, he has a very honey-like voice. His voice is very full. I don't know how else to explain it. He has so much good emotion in his voice. His ballads, like Awake, Epiphany, they're all amazing. Absolutely some of the best solos that BTS has ever done. His solo songs are absolutely phenomenal. He's not even my bias or my bias record, but I like his solos typically more than I like Tae's, which is saying a lot. He has a very good voice, and I think that he should sing it. He should put out more songs solo, more besides Tonight, and he should put them out not for free, not part of Festa or anything like that. He should just put them out as an album, and people should pay money for it because he deserves it. He definitely deserves to put out a paid album with his songs for sure. He could definitely make a lot of money. His voice is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, he joined the group just because of his looks, but you wouldn't know that now. His vocal talent is phenomenal. He's gotten so much better at dancing, and he's just all around a good person. Jin is very special to me. I really like Jin a lot. As for Jungkook, the maknae, the golden maknae, he's my mom's bias. He just radiates crackhead behavior. He is, whenever the BTS members are doing a interview or something like that, if you just focus on whoever's speaking, you wouldn't notice. But if you pay closer attention, Jungkook is almost always doing something odd in the background. There are so many clips of him in the background of interviews doing odd things. He's always there making a weird face, raising his eyebrows, making weird mouth movements. He just does this all the time. So I feel he radiates crackhead behavior even more than the other members. I'm sure there's something not right there in his brain. But he's definitely, he was my bias wrecker, as I said in the beginning, and, there's a reason for that. He's a very attractive young man. His vocals are absolutely phenomenal. A lot of people say that a lot of the other vocal members deserve to be the main vocalist over Jungkook, and while I agree that the other vocalists, including my bias Tae, are amazing vocalists, so talented, amazing, show-stopping, never seen before, they're amazing. But Jungkook is the main vocalist for a reason. Take his solo and on. That was phenomenal. Every time I see someone react to that on YouTube, their expressions just go blank. They get shocked. And for good reason. His high notes are amazing. His falsetto is amazing. He can do a lot of riffing that the other members have a harder time doing. He's very, very good. Like, technical-wise, he's extremely, extremely talented. And I feel like just because he's the main vocalist and gets more lines, I hope that people don't, underestimate how good he is. He is the main vocalist for a reason. He's very, very, very talented. And he is better than the other members at singing, as far as I can see. Just, by technicality, maybe not by emotion and things like that. Although I think he's, he's very, very, very talented, and I'm very fond of him. I'm sorry, it was only a second for you, but I had to go let Oreo out of my room because she was scratching at the door. But anyway, so I could rant about people's comments about Jungkook being overrated and stuff. I could rant about that for a really long time. He deserves his spot. He's worked hard for it. And he still thinks he needs to work harder, even though he's literally overworked himself to the point of passing out before. Like, he needs to take a break. He doesn't need to work harder. He needs to rest more. He's doing everything he can already. He's an amazing member. He is doing a lot. He's the youngest, and he's the main vocalist, and he works so hard. And I just have a lot of feelings about him, and I think people don't give him enough credit sometimes just because, he gets more lines and stuff like that, and people have different biases than Jungkook, so they want to, hate on him or something. But, my bias isn't Jungkook, it's Tae, but I'm an OT7 stan, and I think Jungkook gets more hate than he deserves. As for RM, I feel like RM gets the least amount of attention. Like, I feel like, I don't come across people on the internet whose biases are RM very often. And I feel like that sucks, because even for me, if I had to put him somewhere on a bias list, I'd probably put him at the end. But I'm an OT7 stan, first and foremost, and, there's a lot that can be said about RM that's very important. First off, he is an amazing leader. I have seen, there are a lot of amazing K-pop band leaders out there, some that are super amazing. But every time I see RM, pull the group together, stop fights, that man has an IQ of 148, and he's incredibly intelligent. And sometimes his speeches and the way he addresses us fans and the way he addresses the members and the way he, leads BTS is just, it's unlike any K-pop group. I think that RM should be praised by his leadership skills. He is absolutely so smart and amazing. And his lyric writing is so deep, so inspiring. There's, like, so many metaphors and, like, lyrics that make you think. Which, I don't know, like, I think that maybe some people don't like that because they want songs to be easy, but I think a lot of us, most of us, prefer the deep meanings and stuff like that. It's not often that you get groups that make songs with, deep, deep meanings anymore. So I think that, the songwriting and stuff, like, he deserves, so much credit for all of that. And, he comes off as serious more often than the others do, and I think it's important to note that he is also a crackhead. He is, I'm sure ARMYs all saw, the recent V Live that him and Jin did, and that was just pure, like, that was just absolute chaos the entire time. And, watching Jin and RM, like, set each other off and make each other laugh like that. Namjin! I should know, in terms of shipping, I do ship, but I also don't ship. Not to the level that other ARMYs do. For me, it's more like, they could be dating. They also could not be dating. To me, it's fun to imagine if they were being. It's fun to imagine them dating. I do read fan fiction, sometimes with sex, sometimes without sex. Doesn't really matter to me. But I just, I do think it's silly when someone like sees them hold hands, and I mean, South Korea it's touchier, there really isn't any, there's a lot less toxic masculinity when it comes to like, physical contact with your friends. So, people should keep in mind that, just because they hug each other a lot doesn't mean anything. That's not evidence. Maybe it would be over here, but it's not over there. So, sometimes I do laugh when like they like jump into each other's arms and everybody's like, oh my god, Veman! But like, that's not really evidence of anything at all. If I'm looking for evidence, I'm looking for like actual evidence, like that one V-Live where like there was like odd kissing noises in the back of a Taekook thing. That was odd to me. I think that if there were to be ships that are most likely to be real, I mean, I have a lot of guilty pleasure ships that I like ship, like Taegi, because I think they're cute, but not necessarily because I think that they're real in real life. I'm one of those people that can separate reality from fantasy. I know that my ships are quite possibly not real. Like, to me, it's not really my business. I don't really care. I like to imagine it, but like, and read fanfiction about it and stuff like that, and I think it would be amazing if it was real, but like, it's also, I'm not gonna like try and like dissect V-Lives and stuff like that like other fans do, because it's not about that. But if I had to pick ships that I think, just based on how much content that they have, I think the most likely, honestly, at this point, I think like the Maknae line are just in this big polyamorous love fest together, because Jikook, tons of moments. Taekook, tons of moments. Veman, tons of moments. So, I'm going to be the odd one out and say that if I think that there is any ship that's genuinely real romantically in like the Maknae line, I think they're just all dating. I just think the Maknae line is all dating. Polyamorous relationship. I cannot pick one that seems like it would be more real. The Maknae line are very, very like a little too into each other. But as for the Hyung line, I'm going to be pretty stereotypical and say that I think Soap and Namjoon are the most likely. I think that they seem to be the most likely to me, but that's not necessarily what I even prefer to ship personally. I just think those have the more moments that are suspicious. And not just touchy, but genuinely suspicious. I think that they have more moments. But that's just that. I am going to stop this video here, and the next video will be me talking about my K-pop merchandise that I have, so look forward to that.